Welcome back. We have been looking at Jesus' model prayer, and over the last couple of days, considering the introduction to that prayer that Jesus had given us, our Father in heaven, talking about the intimacy and the greatness of that God, that Father, who we get to pray to, who we get to have a conversation with. If you remember, prayer is communication with God in worship. In God, who created heavens and the earth, has given us the privilege of being able to come to Him as our Abba, as our Father, we as His children. Behold, what manner of love the Father has given unto us, that we should be called the sons of God, the children of God. He has given us the gift of adoption, that we might become His children, and to place within us then the Spirit which cries out, Abba, Father, that He is our daddy, our not just a positional Father, not just the Creator God, but that He wants to have that intimate relationship with us. And Jesus revealed that then as He gave the prerequisites of prayer going into this model prayer, where He told the people that when they pray that they should go into their inner chamber where they would be able to have that private conversation with the Father, not a matter of public prayer or public oratory, not a religious ceremonious practice, but actually a personal relationship. And then that they weren't supposed to be using vain repetitions like the heathen did, but rather that it was supposed to be a conversation like we're having even at this moment. So Jesus then, in going into that model prayer, told them, in this manner, therefore, pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So Jesus now transitions from this time of praise, recognition of who God is, who you are speaking to the point of prayer that we generally look at, and that is the petition phase. But in this petition phase, He begins it with this statement, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. There is this understanding that as I come to God, that He, as the creator of the universe, that it's His will that I ought to be seeking, not necessarily my own. Jesus got into flesh, lived that out while He was on the earth. In fact, we're told in John chapter 6, verse 38, Jesus is speaking. Jesus said, for I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of Him who sent me. So that while Christ was on the earth, His desire was to do the Father's will. And as He then prayed, He would pray for His Father's will. In fact, the most memorable of those occasions is while He's in the garden prior to His crucifixion, after the Last Supper, and He takes His disciples out into the garden to pray. He goes off by Himself and He prays. And we read in Mark chapter 14, verses 32 to 36, this part of Jesus' prayer. In fact, Matthew refers to this, Mark refers to this, Luke refers to this as well. Reading Mark's version of it in chapter 14, verse 32, says, then they came to a place which was named Gethsemane, and He said to His disciples, sit here while I pray. And He took Peter, James, and John with Him, and He began to be troubled and deeply distressed. Then He said to them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch. He went a little farther and fell on the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from Him. And He said, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will. Jesus desired ultimately that the will of the Father would be accomplished in and through Him. As you come to the Father in prayer, it should be with an intent to see the will of the Father accomplished. It may be a matter of God doing a work in you, not just you manipulating God to get what you want, but rather for you to be able to come into submission to what God's plan is for you. Submission to the Father's will is a large part of praying. It may be one of the biggest obstacles for people in praying. There's the idea of having a wrong view of who the Father is, but really, we tend to be very independent and self-willed. And then when I come to prayer, there's this point where I need to be willing to set that aside. I need to be willing to submit my will to the Father's will. So, as we transition then from this pray section of praying, which we'll talk more about as we go along, but to the petition phase of praying, my challenge for you today is to ask yourself and to ask God, whose will do I really want to accomplish? And that you would take time today seeking to submit yourself to the will of God. So, take time right now to pray. Have a blessed day.